This video will provide you solutions of CS2 paper B of April 2021 attempt. So these solutions are indicative solutions which might not be present in the examiner report. So there are several methods of solving one question. So I'm finding the best possible solution which I think I have solved. Okay, and you all can refer to these solutions to match back with your answers, what you all have done in your exams. So let's start. I hope everybody is doing safe in the such COVID times, which we are back again with. Let's start. So starting with question 1, it's a Markov chain question which they have given. So they have said that before answering this question, the R package of Markov chain should be loaded into R using the following code. Install that package in library Markov chain. I hope everybody would have installed Markov chain package in library Markov chain. So I have just called the Markov chain in my R studio. Okay. Now, moving forward, they've said XT is a Markov chain on the state space 1, 2, 3 with the following transition matrix. And they've asked you to construct an R function with arguments PQR such that generates a Markov chain object for XT. So you need to generate a Markov chain object for XT. So XT is a function of P. I have just taken one variable. You can take PQR as well. I prefer using P as an array. So I have taken function of P where M is a matrix of C of P1, 1 minus P1 and 0. The second position of P will hold Q. So P2, 0, 1 minus P2, 0. And then third row is 0, P3, 1 minus P3. It's a 3:3 matrix and I have given by row equals to true. I've defined the states as 1, 2, 3 in the top. So now we are calling the Markov chain object. So we're declaring the Markov chain object as new Markov chain. States equals to states, by row is equal to true. Transition matrix is equals to M, which is defined here, and name I have given as object. Okay, anything you can give your name as, you can even give your name as XT or any Markov chain object, and I've called the object back. So this is the function which you create in R, and now this will give you for any values of PQR a transition matrix, a Markov chain object. So this function is created and they're not asked you to run anything. But if you want, you can just try or with any values of any 3 values inside P to check whether a function is working or not. Okay, moving forward. There is this now in the next part, they said that P is equal to 0.75 and R is equal to 0.25. They've asked you to construct R code that calculates the stationary distribution of XT for values of Q from 0.1 to 0.9 inclusive at intervals of 0.1, pasting your results into your answer script. So firstly, this was first part was a 5 marks and this is that much only for 5 marks. If somebody does this much, you will get full 5 marks. For next part, again, they asked you to calculate, construct an R code. So what I've done is, I have done a station. It's an empty vector and an empty array. Anything, I've just defined it as numeric of 0. It's just an empty object which has been created inside R. Now I've taken Q, which is a sequence of 0.1 to 0.9 at intervals of 0.1 as said in the question, defined Q. And now I've run a loop because we need to keep on finding the stationary distribution of XT. So for I in 1 to length of Q, whatever the values of length of Q is, we have been given defined as P is equal to 0.25, 0.75. Okay, and R has been given to us as 0.25, and we know the values of Q is varying inside this. Okay, this is a loop which I have done. And then inside the loop, I have used steady. I have again created one object which is storing the steady states of XT, the Markov chain object created there at the values of Y. And then it is just doing an R-bind of station comma state. So whatever values of Q, it is changing over here. It is storing it in rows in each way. So here, and now if I run station, so see for each value of Q, there are different stationary distributions which we can arrive at. Okay, so this is 0.08 and so on. So this is again, they just asked you to pasting your results. So you need to copy this code as well as the output over here, which is received in here, and give it in your answer script. Okay, and this stretches you entirely 7 marks on your own. Thirdly, they've asked you to plot a graph showing the stationary distribution of XT calculated in part 2 as a function of Q. Then asked as a function of Q, you need to calculate, you need to plot a graph. you should include 3 separately colored lines on your graph. Each line represents the stationary probabilities of each state. So basically against Q, you need to plot these values. The value should be against the values of Q, the graph. So first I've converted this into a data frame, whatever I had created here. So after converting it into a data frame, I'm taking plot Q as Q is defined above. And then first column of station, which is the first state, taken type equals to 0, color equals to blue, and main is equals to stationary distribution of each state. So this gives you the first line. Second is one thing I missed out, sorry, YLAB is equals to probabilities or stationary distribution, you can write. Okay. So this is probabilities. And then this is the first state. Lines will give me the second state, which is the second column. And third column, this will be in the third state. And then I need to provide a legend. You can provide it on top left, top right, anywhere you want. And I've given a fill. So this gives me the legend of this distribution. And as there, you should include 3 separately colored lines on graph. Each line represents the stationary probabilities of each state. So if you do this entirely in your questions as this, you will get full 8 marks for this part also. And this was just a 20-mark question of Markov chain. There's nothing difficult. Yes, the paper comprised this time of more of functions, more of general knowledge of R, then more of theoretical knowledge, which is very important. As I always say, basics of R is very important. If you don't know the base R, writing functions, writing loops is very important. If you don't know base R, it will be really difficult to do that. So this is also all about question 1. Moving on to question 2, if we come. There's nothing else which has been asked in question 1, no comment, nothing. Moving to question 2, we are coming to, they've given us this code, R Pareto function of n alpha comma lambda. So just copy paste this code as it is, lambda into 1 minus to the power and RP. Now I have had people who have told me that this is not the correct code for R Pareto. I know the code for R Pareto is alpha lambda to the power alpha and whatever, but that is for D Pareto. This is for R Pareto. So this is correct. Okay. The code which many students are talking about, that if the R Pareto code is correct or wrong, it's correct. And even if it's not correct, since it's told in the paper to run, you need to run like that as it is. Okay. So once R Pareto is done, then we come to next question. This says the R Pareto generates a random size from 2 parameter Pareto distributions alpha and lambda. Generate using R Pareto a random sample size of 25,000 from a 2 parameter Pareto distribution with parameters alpha equal to 3 and lambda equal to 1, assigning the simulated values to a vector called AVEC. You should set a random number generator seed of 123 before generating AVEC and use the R function head to display the first 8 values of AVEC in your answer script. So here we have run set.seed 123. There is AVEC, which is an R Pareto 25,000, and they've given us the values of alpha and lambda. If you see 3 and 1, so I've stored it, and then they've told you first 8 values using the head function. So AVEC. So if you run this, you get the first 8 values from your AVEC for the Pareto distribution. Okay, for next part, they've asked you part 2, construct an R function called A exceed U with 2 arguments A and U that returns only the non-zero entries of a vector E, where vector E is of length 25,000, entry is defined as EI is equal to max of AI minus U. And they've told you, please return only the non-zero entries. Okay, use the R function to display your answer to the first 8 values. Okay, of A exceed U. So first this is our A exceed U. It's a function of A and U as said in the question. It has to be EI is equal to max of A minus U. We know to compare 2 vectors, we cannot use max, we need to use P max. So we write P max of A minus U comma 0. And then we write, when we need to return only the non-zero entries, we'll take E where E is greater than 0. Okay, and this returns the non-zero entries for us. Then they've asked that use the R function head to display in your answer script the first 8 values of A exceed U, where A is equals to AVEC and U equals to 1. So replacing and I set u equals to 1, and this asks that for a exceed u, for a, the argument of a will be a vec. So I've done head of a exceed u, a vec, comma u, and first 8 values. So this gives me the first 8 values of the distribution. Coming to the next part, again, this 3 mark was direct. There was nothing which you had to do, just running this code set.c fetches you 3 marks. Running this function, and this will fetch you 8 marks. I don't think there's a division among this, but if your function is wrong, you will, if you have done correct coding or something, may fetch you step marks, but I'm not sure about that. Coming to the next part, it says construct another function R called fu with one argument a greater than u that returns a vector of length 101 containing the probabilities. Probability ai minus u less than equals to x given ai greater than u where x is greater than 0 for values of x from 0 to 10 inclusive at intervals of 0.1. And again, they've asked you to display the first 8 values. This is one part which I have heard of my students who struggled, who thought it is a bit tricky, who thought how would they give an approach to this part, and a feedback to what I had received from the paper. But it was a very general question. This is just a normal Bayes theorem which one needs to break and understand what is the Bayes theorem formula. And it was just a function in a loop which had to be run together. A loop inside a function which had to be run together. So it's not that difficult, but yes, you need a lot of practice. You need a lot of thinking ability to do such type of questions, to especially write something in Bayes R. Not always all packages will give you the answers or direct functions. Sometimes you need to create some functions inside, user-defined functions, create scratch functions in R to help you. So we have been given u equals to 1. We have been given x as a sequence of 0 to 10 with a difference of 0.1. And we have been told to calculate the probabilities. So I'm creating a probability vector, which is a length of x, because if you check the length of x, why did I do this? Because if you check the length of x, it's of 101, which matches a criteria which says here that the length should be of 101. So I can take probability of numeric of length of x. Okay, I use this technique. Then fu is a function of a greater than u, as said in the question, that the argument will be a greater than u. And then we had to run certain things. It says that for 0 to 10 inclusive, you need to calculate this probability at intervals of 0.1. So firstly, let's understand what this probability says. Probability says that ai minus u, the exceedances, should be less than equal to x, given that ai is greater than u. So if you break this in if you break this Bayes formula, if you see, then this numerator will be probability of ai minus u, probability of ai minus u less than equal to I, intersection of probability ai given ai greater than u, or the opposite, divided by probability of ai greater than u. Okay. So when you do this intersection, you will find that ai minus, you need to find out values wherever a minus u is less than equal to x, given that ai is greater than u. Okay. So it's very easy. Interpret it, think, read, and understand that you have to find the probability of ai minus u less than equal to xi. So what did we find as, and basic definition of probability says number of favorable outcomes divided by total number of outcomes, right? So total number of favorable outcomes will be probability of a greater than a minus u less than xi wherever is ai is greater than u. Okay, so I have taken length of a greater than u wherever a greater than u is less than equal to xi, because a greater than u is nothing but a vector which we need to find out. Okay, the value will, that is where a greater than u is equals to a exceed u with arguments a vec and au. Okay, and probability of I will be this length divided by the total length, divided by the total length of whatever will be of a greater than u. Okay, and this will, and once this loop is there, outside the loop in the function, you need to call probability. If you run this inside the loop and not in the function will not return you the answer. Okay, so you need to run this loop over here. And then inside G, I have taken A exceed U, where AVEC, comma U. Yeah. So now we have been said, see, as in the question says that you should display the first 8 values of FU when A is greater than U is equals to A exceed U. So the function inside this will be basically A exceed U with vector with arguments AVEC and U. So I've stored this A exceed U, AVEC U, and then I need to run F underscore U of G to display my first 8 values. Sorry, it will be here. FU of G to display my first 8 values inside the function. Okay. So once this is done, if you see, these are the values which I get. Okay. And then in the next part, so this was a tricky part, a little bit lengthy part where you have to think how to write the function and so on. Then they've said plot on a single graph 4 line graphs of the values fu against x for the values of x specified in part 3 when a is greater than u is equals to this. And now we have been given different values of u, 1, 2, 3, 4. You should use separate colors to identify each line, and you should clearly specify which value of u is represented by which line. Okay, so first, in my case, this is my first u equals to 1. So this is an overlapping part. So you can just, for u equal to 1, you can just run here only. Plot of x comma fug type equals to L, color equals to blue, mean equals to this. So this gives me the line for first. Then if you run u equals to 2, and you know, now just copy the code and just run it. And after you setting u equals to g, and then this is, we don't need the headline. So this is lines. So this comes the second part. Second part, then it is u equals to 3, and again run the same codes. You get the third line. I think I missed out something. Second. This is u equals to 1, u equals to 2, u equals to 3. This is u equals to 3, and then you run for u equals to 4. The same lines you need to run for u equals to 4 as well. Okay, so this is there, and then you can use a legend, because it's told you specifically in the question that each line should represent which color represents which value of u. So this is u equals to 1, then we have 2, then we have 3, and then we have 4. Okay, and it's a properly labeled graph which you need to copy and paste in your work. And then the next part, I think, is comment on the graph reduced in part 4. So from the graph 4, if you see, for all values of u, fug is an increasing function. It starts initially from 0, and if you see till almost x equal to 4, it's an increasing function. That after that, it's almost a constant. Okay, the tail of the distribution obviously is becoming heavier as the value of u increases. If you see, as the value of u increases, the distribution is becoming more on the heavier side. It's increasing. It's on the more bending towards the x-axis. Okay, there's a more bend towards the x-axis. And any other comments which you all want to add, you all can add. So 6 mark comments. So obviously there can be a lot of comments. You can compare u equal to 1 with u equal to 2. You can compare u equal to 1 with u equal to 4. That the u equal to 4 is the heaviest one. It's the most there. For u equal to 1, the graph is very smooth. Whereas for u equal to 2, 3, 4, there are slight variations in the graph. There is slight fluctuation. There are slight variances in the graph. You can see, but for u equal to 1, it's a quite smooth graph. Okay. For exceedance, for you can comment on anything about the values, about the probabilities, and so on. Okay. Coming to question number 3. For question number 3, if we see, this was a question which we had already discussed in our prediction video, and which we felt that can come for our paper and so on. And almost 30 marks in this question had already been predicted in our video, and is almost the same. Okay, so I think those students who had seen the video had not struggled in this question. They were quite being able to do the question. At least this question was well attempted for 30 marks by many of the students. Coming to this, so this is the data set which was received, and now they've asked you that a recently developed drug Medico has been used over the past 12 months to treat a potentially fatal disease. Medico was approved by a medical regulator last year. Following initial trial and mortality data has been collected over the past 12 months since approval to continue reviewing the drug's effect. This mortality data has been compared with mortality data collected from infected patients prior to Medico's approval and who are not administered the drug. It is suspected that gender may be a significant correlate on the mortality rate of infected patients. There's a 4,400 patients data which we had already in. Life is there. Drug 1 is for people with the drug, 0 with not drug. Gender is female and male. So the drug is a potentially fatal disease. Basically the drug has been used to treat a basal disease with a medicine. So what our solution should indicate that after providing of the drug, the survival probability should increase because it's treating a fatal disease. Okay. So coming gender is 1 equals to female, 0 equals to male, and status indicator 1 death, 0 is a censoring event, and range is it's for a year, 1 to 365 days. Okay, there's the first part says plot the Kaplan-Meier survival estimate for all patients together with its two-sided 99.5% confidence interval. And they've asked you to frame the data called mortality data. Okay, so let's name this as mortality data first. So this is mortality data. Let me change this. Now we'll fit it with a confidence interval of 99.5%. Okay, and then we'll plot the fit, the Kaplan-Meier survival function with a two-sided confidence interval. Okay. This was 8 marks, direct 4 lines code, 8 marks. Okay. Determine using the estimated survival function from part 1, the probability that a patient survived from the beginning of the investigation period to the end of the investigation. This was very easy. We had discussed this earlier also in our video. Summary of it times equals to 365. So to write that the survival probability till the end of the year is 17.2%. Patient, the probability of the patient being survived from the beginning to the end of the investigation period is 17.2%. This is an overall probability. So evaluate the appropriateness of the probability value. So what I could say that the above method is an overall probability with no difference on the basis of gender or on the basis of the medicine provided. Okay. It is no difference on the medicine provided or the drug injected. Okay. So the above value may not be appropriate for all types of gender or for all types of people who have been provided or not provided with drug. Maybe the ones provided with drug would have a higher survival probability than ones who are not provided with drug. Or maybe the females and males probability will differ. So there's no gender difference, there's no drug difference, there's no combinations being taken over here. It's just an overall time status. That's whatever I said is written over here, that it's an overall result rather than a specific population. The males with no drug given may tend to men with no drug may tend to live lesser. Sorry, with no drug may tend to live lesser. Sorry, may tend to live shorter or lesser for female or from females. Okay, or females with drug addiction may have drug may have the opposite effect also. So they can have the one with no medicine also may have less survival probability and so on. So anything can happen, but that is not predicted in the above Kaplan-Meier. It's just an overall prediction that whatever people are there, how is it calculating? Okay. Next question part says that plot on a single graph the Kaplan-Meier survival function estimates without any confidence intervals, where each estimate represents one of the 4 possible patient groups combinations of drug and gender. You should use separate colors to identify each survival function. So yes, I will obviously say this. So they've said possible 4 combinations. Okay, so what are the 4 combinations can happen? Male and drug, male and no drug, female and drug, and female and no drug. Very easy. For 2 things, 2 categorical variables, each have 2 categories, so have 4 combinations. So male no drug is where gender equals to 0 and drug equals to 0, which you can see drug equal to 0, did not receive drug, and male is 0. So we have filtered out that data from our mortality data. So please first filter out it from mortality data. Okay. And now our fit will become F1, where surfits of time comma status remains the same and data will be male no drug. Okay, and now we'll plot F1 where color is equals to blue and confident is equals to false, because they've said in the question there should be no confidence interval. Now with male drug, that is the ones we have been provided with the medicine, gender is 0, but drug is 1. Okay, and then they have been plotting F2 and lines will be again F2 and confidence intervals has to be 0, false. Female no drug where data, gender is 1, but females have not been provided with the medicine. Okay. This also has to be mortality data first. Okay. And then this will be again same thing, and again here also same thing. So four combinations which we are running should have 4 different, and then there should be a legend, obviously. Drug equals to 0, gender equals to drug 1. Or you can write female drug, male drug, whatever you want, either in the basis of categorical variable or on the basis of non-categorical variable, you can write. Okay. Make sure your legend is correct. First is drug 0, gender 0. Second is, drug 1, gender 0. Drug 0, gender 1. And drug 1, gender 1. This is my legend. Okay. And then again, they have asked you to comment on the graph. So comment on the graph in part 5, in part 4. So if you comment, you can see that for males, almost the 2 lines are coinciding. With medicine or without medicine, the survival probability is not affecting, but females have much higher probability when they're getting the medicine, when they're getting the drug for the fatal disease. Also, females have, or in general, have a greater survival probability than males. And with females receiving the drug, females receiving the medicine for that fatal disease, their survival probability is increasing a lot. Okay. And for next part, they said that estimate a Croc's proportional hazards model with death as the event of interest using the 2 covariates, drug and gender, with no interaction term. Pasting your results into the answer tube, you should use the Breslow method for tie handling. So it's a model for Cox PH, survival time of status, gender plus drug, and data is equal to mortality data, which we are using over here. Ties is equals to Breslow as said in the question. So we'll run this and you can just run the summary to see what is your coefficient, and please fit a model properly into Word document. I hope everybody has written that lambda naught T is equals to how you all write it and copy the Cox PH value beta plus E to EXP and so on. So coefficient is 0.39352, 0.0. This is your gender and drug, and you can see that both the variables are significant. We cannot remove them. Both variables are required in the model. Okay. Comment on the results with reference to the effects of the 2 covariates, gender and drug. So we can see with effects of gender and drug that people taking drug have 0.070347 mortality times that people with no drug. Okay. Also, gender is also getting affected. That females will have mortality of 0.39352 times rather than of male, because female is 1 and male is 0. Okay. You can see that also drug reduces the mortality rates and for females, and you can analysis on base of your whatever intuitive analysis you can give, because it's then comment is of 5 marks and you need to write why these 2 variants are coefficient, that the p value is less than 0.05 or 0.005, so hence that they are significant covariates. Okay. There's a significant symbol beside the likelihood ratio test values. You can comment on anything you want. Okay. Update the Cox proportional hazards model in part 6 to include the interaction term between drug and gender. So we have introduced the interaction term between drug and gender. So time status gender plus gender into drug, and data is equals to mortality data. Okay, and Breslow is equal to Breslow and summary of model 5. So here it is, exponential coefficient. Again, these are there. Please write this model as it is. And then analyze the effectiveness of medical commenting on any differences between males and females. So from here they've asked if there's any difference between males and females so you can see from the interaction term of gender and drug that the females with drug addiction they have a higher survival probability of 0.51750 times. Okay, so females with drug, females with medicine received, they will have a higher survival than males. Okay, 0.5 times of male. Also, females in general have higher survival probability than males, and males with males receiving the medicine or males receiving the drug of the fatal disease is not as efficient to them. The drug is not as efficient to them as in females. The survival probability of males do not increase much. There's not much increase in their survivals. Okay, so all these are the comments part which you should understand and write. These are again an indicative solution. Anyone has done these type of solutions, or obviously from my knowledge, this is the best solution which this is the best solution of the questions provided. If you are well followed any other method which you are fetching which you think is correct, it may be correct and it may be your method. So each question has a different method and there are different ways of solving. So any method which is correct is acceptable. This is just an indicative solution and this is the best method which we think this question can be solved in, which I think. Okay, thank you guys for this video. Hope you all like it. Hope you all see it hope you all watch this video and understand that how much marks you're going to receive in this paper. I hope you're being analyzed how to prepare for the next term then. Okay, on my comment on the whole paper, the difficulty of the paper was not that much. It was a standard paper. It was a moderate paper, I would say. Just that the students who had practiced really well who are well versed with who are practicing R from the beginning, they'll be able to answer these questions really, really well. Because you need a lot of thinking ability in these type of questions where you need to create functions and you need to create loops. Okay, thank you.